The movie begins with Heather rushing with her two best friends, Connie and Amy, trying to catch the train that will take them to Barcelona. They make it just in time, hop on, and settle into their seats. That's when we learn the three girls are on a European trip, moving from city to city following a planned route. During the ride, Amy notices a handsome stranger among the passengers. She can't take her eyes off him. Without hesitation, she gets up, walks over, and starts talking to him, beating Heather sitting with Connie.
A little later, another passenger shows up. This guy is so unusual, he climbs up to the luggage rack to sleep. But in the middle of the night, he struggles to get comfortable. He glances down at Heather and admits he can't sleep up there, then asks her why she's still awake. Heather tells him she was lost in thought, remembering a novel she had been reading. They exchange a few warm words, and he introduces himself as Jack from New Zealand. After wishing her a good night, he tries to get some rest. The next morning, the train arrives in Barcelona. As Heather and her friends step off, Jack is right there with them. He finds out they're planning to hit a nightclub that evening, so he promises to meet them there. That night, the girls arrive at the club. Jack shows up too, bringing his friend Rafe along. Connie immediately feels a spark with Rafe and heads off to dance with him. Amy spots Victor, the same guy she met earlier on the train, and goes straight to him, leaving Heather alone with Jack. Jack suggests they step outside since the music is too loud. Heather agrees, and the two of them walk out into the night. Away from the noise, they start opening up to each other. Heather asks if he has a job, and Jack admits he's unemployed at the moment, though he's done all sorts of random work in the past. Heather shares her own story, how she finished college, moved to New York, and started working as a banker. Jack chuckles, pointing out how different they are. She loves planning and order, while he thrives on spontaneity and chaos. But, he says, maybe that contrast is exactly what could bring them together. Heather listens, clearly intrigued by his carefree personality. Later, as Heather walks with Connie, Jack trails behind with Rafe. Connie confides in Heather that she really likes Rafe and plans to spend the night with him. She says goodbye and leaves with him, while Jack and Heather continue walking together. Their conversation shifts to books and literature, until Jack suddenly points at a cable car nearby. With a mischievous grin, he leads Heather to it. They sneak inside one of the cars, and soon they're soaring above the city, gazing at Barcelona's breathtaking skyline. Up there, Jack opens up about something personal. His grandfather used to keep journals, and before he died, he left them to Jack. This whole trip, Jack explains, is about retracing his grandfather's journey through Europe, visiting the exact places written in those journals. Heather is touched, calling it a beautiful way to honor his memory. In that magical moment, the two share a kiss. The next morning, they're still in the cable car when workers discover them. Angry shouts echo as Jack and Heather scramble to escape. They leap out just in time and run off laughing, like two partners in crime. But the mood shifts when they return to the hotel. Amy is in tears. She reveals that Victor, the guy she trusted, robbed her. He took all her money, her belongings, even her passport. She feels devastated. At first, the group thinks of reporting everything to the embassy, but Jack has another idea. He suggests they check out Victor's apartment first. Maybe they'll find a clue. At the door, Victor denies stealing her things. But when they threaten to call the police, he starts looking nervous. He tells them he'll go inside and check for her stuff, but Jack quickly pushes the door open before he can shut it, and they break into the apartment. Victor escapes through the window, while Amy finds her belongings. They also discover extra money, and Jack suspects it's stolen too. He insists they should take it as compensation. They leave together, happy, and with the money, they rent a convertible car and drive around. Eventually, they arrive at a coastal village where Heather asks them to stop so she can take some souvenir photos. But Jack avoids the pictures, saying he doesn't like being photographed. Later, they walk along the beach, rent a boat, dive into the water, and enjoy themselves. Amy then reveals that she's decided to travel around Europe alone, planning to meet another guy she got to know in a different city. She feels confident this time she won't be fooled like she was with Victor. The next day, they say goodbye to her. Connie takes a taxi with Rafe, while Jack offers Heather to come with him and continue exploring the places in his grandfather's journal. She agrees, and they set off together. When they arrive at the next location, Jack notices a group of tourists taking selfies. He comments that they're not really living in the moment, calling them hypocrites who only care about appearances. Heather doesn't understand why selfies bother him so much. Jack explains that people who do that are shallow, but Heather takes it personally since she does the same. She tells him he's being judgmental and gets upset, walking away.
Jack follows her and apologizes, saying he didn't mean it like that. He reminds her that her flight is in just 1 hour, and they shouldn't part on bad terms. Heather forgives him, and Jack drives her to the airport. But before she goes inside, he asks her not to leave, urging her to stay with him and extend her vacation. Heather hesitates, but eventually agrees. They continue the journey together, following the journal. Jack opens up to her more about his thoughts and beliefs about life. That night, they grow even closer and start a relationship in their hotel room. The next day, they attend a bull running festival. Suddenly, Jack decides to join the locals and run with the bulls. A bull hits him, knocking him down, and he's rushed to the hospital with an injured arm. Heather calls him reckless, but Jack doesn't care. He says nothing will stop him from continuing the journey. Days pass, and we see them moving from one place to another, following the journal without a set plan, never knowing where they'll end up next. Heather keeps in touch with her friends, Connie and Amy, updating them about her adventure with Jack. She tells them she's really enjoying it. Connie asks what will happen between her and Jack after the trip ends, but Heather doesn't know. She says she'll try to talk to Jack about it and figure out where their relationship is heading. On the bus, Heather falls asleep while Jack gets a phone call. He quietly moves to another seat to answer. We hear him speaking with his doctor, who tells him he needs to come in for another scan and schedule an appointment. Jack agrees, but we still don't know why the doctor is asking for these tests. When Jack returns to sit next to Heather, his face clearly shows worry. Later, while they're at a restaurant together, Heather accidentally discovers a folded piece of paper hidden in the journal's cover, something Jack hadn't noticed before. He opens it and reads a note written by his grandfather about an island called Santa Bo. Every year, the island hosts a dance festival that symbolizes facing death. Neither Jack nor Heather knows if the festival still takes place or if it ended long ago. Heather keeps the note in her bag. As they walk afterward, Heather asks Jack if he's planning to write a book someday about his experiences. Jack shakes his head, saying he doesn't think about the future. He just wants to live in the moment. Heather pushes back, telling him that ignoring the future is irresponsible. She insists that he needs to have an idea of what he wants later in life. But Jack argues that this is his philosophy. He doesn't want to plan ahead, only to embrace the present. Heather admits that without plans, she feels lost, and she finally asks him directly about the relationship and where it's heading. Jack avoids the question, refusing to give her a clear answer. This creates tension between them, and they grow distant. But the following night, Jack surprises her in the hotel room. He tells her he's decided to travel with her to New York. Heather is thrilled. That's exactly what she wanted to hear. The next day, they head to the airport, ready to fly to New York together. Just before boarding, Jack receives another call from his doctor. This time, the doctor insists he needs to come to the clinic immediately because the test results are back. Jack looks torn. He excuses himself, telling Heather he'll just run to the bathroom and be back before boarding starts. But time passes and he doesn't return. Heather grows worried and sends him a text, but he doesn't reply. As the final boarding call is announced, she searches for him near the bathrooms. He's nowhere to be found. She tries calling, but he doesn't answer. An airline staff member tells her she has to board now. There's no more time. Hesitant and anxious, Heather gets on the plane, still hoping Jack might appear, but his seat stays empty. Then her phone vibrates. A message from Jack. All it says is that he's sorry. Heather realizes he abandoned her. Her eyes fill with tears as the plane takes off. We cut to New York City, where Heather meets up with her two friends, Connie and Amy. Sitting together, she tells them everything Jack did. Amy calls him a jerk who deceived her, and Connie agrees. They both try to convince Heather not to waste her thoughts on him. He doesn't deserve her. Days later, Heather travels to Texas to visit her family. Her relatives greet her warmly, overjoyed to see her back home. After returning home, Heather sat down with her father and told him about her journey with Jack.
She explained that throughout her life she always felt safe when she had a clear plan, when she knew exactly what her future would look like. That sense of certainty gave her comfort. But traveling with Jack, moving from place to place with no plans at all, gave her a completely different feeling. Something new, exciting, and strangely freeing. Her father smiled and told her that what she was describing was the feeling of freedom. Freedom is wonderful in the beginning, he said, but it doesn't always last. Then he wished for her to always make the choices that truly bring her peace in life, because that's what really matters. After that, he went upstairs to sleep. That same night, Heather got a message from her best friend, Connie, telling her that Rafe had proposed and they were planning to get married soon. Heather was thrilled and promised she'd definitely be at the wedding. Sometime later, at Connie and Rafe's wedding, everyone was full of joy. During the celebration, Heather danced with Rafe, but she couldn't hold back the question that had been haunting her. Had Jack ever reached out to him after leaving her? Rafe looked at her and realized she needed the truth. Gently, he asked her to step aside with him. In a quiet room, he handed her a sealed letter. He explained that Jack had given it to him months ago, asking him to pass it along at the right time. Heather's hands trembled as she took it, thanking Rafe for giving it to her without delay. She opened the letter and began to read. Jack confessed that leaving her at the airport was the hardest decision he'd ever made, and that it broke him to see her searching for him. He revealed that he was battling a malignant tumor, something he had hidden from her. Despite his illness, he told her those days with her were the happiest of his life. But he knew he had only been running from the truth, that his death was inevitable, and his time was short. Jack admitted he couldn't give her a future, but their journey together gave him peace. The memories they shared became the map that helped him find himself in his final days. As Heather finished the letter, she remembered the folded note from his grandfather's journal about Santa Bo Island. She dug through her bag, pulled out the page, and traced it on a map. A spark lit up inside her. She knew this must be where Jack had gone. Determined, she told her friends about her decision, then set off on a long trip to the island. When she finally arrived, the festival of dance was in full swing. Amid the music and the crowd, Heather spotted him. Jack was standing there, stunned as his eyes met hers. She walked toward him, and he asked how she found him. She told him she remembered his grandfather's journal, and she had to hold on to the hope that they'd meet again. Jack looked at her with pain in his eyes and admitted he couldn't promise her a future. But Heather held his hand and said softly, "I don't care about the future. I only care about this moment, here with you. I love you." Jack's eyes welled up as he whispered back, "I love you too." And as the music swelled and the festival danced around them, they drew close together, and the film came to an end.